Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Check the Score podcast. The NRL season's kicked off. Time to bring it back on the show. We've actually got Harry's actually a first-time guest. Technically not. We've actually shot one UFC podcast before, and the entire file decided to corrupt during the edit. So that was fantastic.
What was that for? Was that 299?
No, that was. Nah, it wasn't. No, because I did UFC. I did 299 and 300 with Liam and James, so it would have been after that. It might have been a review of 300.
Well, it was pretty disastrous anyway.
Oh, bro, it was a long day. We had five of us on. It was kind of crazy. No, was it five? No, four. It was
For
me, James, you, Oscar. Yeah, it was us four. Yeah,
Yeah.
you, Oscar, James, and me. Yeah, but yeah, back with NRL. Obviously, we're currently filming this after the day after the Newcastle Knights game is played. So we've missed the first game, unfortunately, but hey, busy schedules and all. Before we start, there's been a bit of NRL news this week. I'm just going to read it out. If you want to stop me after any of them, go ahead and we can talk about it. The Dragons have dipped into the market a bit. They've sold a winger rather. They've sold Mikhail Ravalawa to South Sydney, and in return, they've got David Clemmer from the West Tigers, which I think is actually, look, I don't know. Look, people say it's bad. I can see both sides of the coin.
I think both are pretty subpar trades.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But
I don't know. I think maybe under Bennett, Ravalawa might turn up. It depends if Ravalawa is looking to go out in a fiery blaze or if he's just looking to cruise to his retirement. I don't really know what his plans are, but he could definitely turn up. And honestly, same for Clemmer. Clemmer's a very good player, but he's gotten lazy, I feel.
yeah, well, the thing I find weird in all of this is that Ravalawa's deal, it's like it's a year at South Sydney, but then he comes back to St George the year after to continue with St George contract.
Oh, what? I did not know that.
Yeah, so he signed for a year at South Sydney, but then after this year, he'll go back to St George.
Well, it might be good. It might just be like a tune-up with Bennett for a year.
I think that could do him a world of good.
Yeah,
You know what?
100%.
You know what Bennett's reputation is turning, like kind of what you consider like more fodder type players into absolute superstars. So we'll see. He's definitely got the build of being an absolute
Oh,
monster.
100%.
Like he's big Fijian man.
And he's tested as well. Like he has had these moments where he'll just randomly drop a hat trick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy. He's got the prowess, but I feel like he's just gotten lazy.
All those quick big Fijians, like the genetics are just insane. So I'm sure if you instill a bit of confidence in him,
Yeah,
you could get something out of him.
100%.
Obviously, talk of the town, Dylan Brown.
Yeah. Oh man. I'm still trying to get my head around this. I don't know what the Knights' grand scheme is. I'm trying to figure out if they're planning to go for like 2 glory years or something.
He's not
Where
a
they've got-
halfback though. Like he's on halfback money.
Yeah, I know. I just don't know. Like maybe they're planning on like 2 solid years where KP and Dylan Brown are in there, and then they'll let KP go, and then run Dylan Brown because you can't have the two highest paid playmakers in one team. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, Ponga, I think his deal expires at the end of 2027.
Well, I think I saw Jerome Hughes is on 830.
Yeah, I know. He's not a. I know. Yeah, I know. Dally M halfback,
That's disgusting. Yeah, I think they paid far overs for Dylan Brown.
Well, Parramatta offered him 1.1.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough us staying at Parramatta. They're in like a full rebuild. It's going to be a few years before Parra's back on their feet. But, I mean, Knights aren't far off being in that exact same position.
I agree. I was going to say, I think Knights are in that kind of phase where they don't really know their identity. I think they need to
Yeah.
kind of restructure things.
They've got a bunch of good players, but they've also got a bunch of players that are on their way out, like Frizzell, Gagai. Like, I feel like, I'm not saying next year, maybe not even the year after, but they're definitely retiring within a few years.
Yeah, for sure.
And once you lose people like that, like, where are they going to get a team from?
Yeah.
Like, they've got some good up-and-comers, like, they got Leo Thompson's brother coming in, Phoenix Crossland, Cogger.
Yeah.
But
They're all like they're all like not rep players, but they're good
Yeah.
at clubland, and I feel like you need those hints of rep players and big players to win comps. Much like you're seeing with Cronulla at the moment. Like Cronulla have always been the team that's there or thereabouts. They'll get top four, but they'll crash out in the finals. And then they're bringing someone like AFB, and you're like, all right, well, they actually they're trying to go for something here.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like a lot of these teams need that extra oomph almost.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be very interesting as well with Dylan Brown going over, because now it's not so much Mitchell Moses and Dylan Brown, and without Mitchell Moses, Dylan Brown can't play.
Yeah.
Now Dylan Brown is his own entity.
Yeah. It's also not the Kalen Ponga show either. It's not going to be that anymore. Like it's always been about get Kalen the ball,
Yeah.
try and get him around the ruck and out the back, give him a bit of room to run.
Yeah, but if they play it right and they have two like sharp playmakers, like they could play very, very good.
Oh, for sure, 100%. And the last 3 points I have, definitely not as notable as the Dylan Brown ones, but Joey Manu definitely confirms he's not coming back this year.
That's tough. Man.
Yeah, I know. I think Trent
is
Robinson
so
had his
tough.
eggs in that basket that he was going to have Joey Manu
Yeah.
back this year. Do you know what I find funny? I had someone talk to me the other day about who I think is the best center in the comp. And I said Stephen Crichton on the premise that Joey Manu doesn't come back. Because I think Joey Manu genuinely is just superstar.
He is a freak. I struggle to understand how Trent Robinson just opened the door for him and just let him go.
I know.
I don't really understand how that went down, because I know Manu loves the Roosters, loves the fan base, loves
He's
the
got
players.
good money, like-
he's good money. I don't know how that fell through, but
Yeah,
wow,
No,
that was a horrible loss.
I agree.
Same, losing Manu and Hargreaves in 1 year, you're destined for failure, bro.
Yeah, really, really tough. Taylor May is given permission to come back to the NRL.
Oof, that is huge.
He's a gun, but yeah, obviously he's had a lot of off the field antics, which has not done him any favors. His brother Terrell has often expressed how much he wants to play with his brother. Could we see West Tigers pick him up? Justin Olam off the cap because he's apparently going to medically retire.
Well, who have the Tigers got as centers? Because I feel like they've
Dewey.
got two very strong wingers at the moment with Skelton and
Taruva.
Taruva.
Well,
But who have they got as their centers?
Dewey. And then Olam was.
Yeah. Okay. So they do have room for it.
Yeah.
If Taylor, if he can adjust to a center position, that'd be pretty nasty.
Oh, for
seeing him
sure.
as a center.
Absolute gun player.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
in that premiership run with Penrith. Yeah, absolute gun. And then something you'd be happy about as a Doggies fan, Kurt Mann re-signed for an extra year.
Oh,
He's so good, man.
he is so underrated.
I remember when he signed for the Dogs and I'd Winston on the podcast and I go, bro, for someone who was kind of let go by his club and picked up, I think Kurt Mann is genuinely going to be that game changer for you. Like this is in the window when you sign like Salmon and Taff and Hutchison. Like you signed a bunch of, you signed like a bunch of random players. And Kurt Mann got mixed in and amongst all that. And I'm like, bro, I think he's actually like a gold mine that you've got there.
Well, it was. I mean, I would have been honestly happy with both, but we had Connor Watson and Kurt Mann both up in the air, and Connor Watson's such an awesome player, bro. But I'm so happy we got Kurt Mann. He's half the size of all the front rowers, but he'll put a shot on just about anyone, and he plays with his heart full, like 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, absolute freak.
I know, 100%.
him.
He is a gun. Now, that's all I had. Round one. We'll get stuck into that a little bit. Obviously, round one started almost like more like 2 weeks ago with Vegas.
Vegas throws it out quite a lot.
I know, it's like almost like a round zero, right?
Yeah.
The games I thought were really good. I thought both games were very entertaining.
Yeah.
I thought Raiders put on an absolute clinic. Very entertaining to watch. I think Jamal Fogarty's playing some of his best footy, at least just given off that one game I watched of him. Xavier Savage, I think he's in for an absolute year, probably an origin call-up.
Yeah, that's what I had. Xavier Savage played no breaks.
Bro,
He played excellent.
no breaks, literally. But the Waz, I called this. I called it.
Yeah, look, I live in so much uncertainty. Like, I love the Waz, and yeah, this year it's just a tough ask.
Yeah.
Like, Don't they have Zalesniak? When's he out till? Like around 9?
I don't know when he's out till. I knew he's out. I'm not sure how long. But
Yeah, he's cooked. They've got so many things up in the air. They've got good players and a good team, but I feel like they have a lot of things to work on, like in and off the field.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, sorry, was.
Yeah, I think Luke Metcalf's going to take some time to adjust to the halfback. I rate him. I think he's such a good player. He's actually a Cronulla junior.
Yeah.
Even when he played a few games here and there at Cronulla, I thought he was really good. Went to the Wars, was a bit of an understudy alongside SJ. Looked really good with him when he had his big year, when he almost got the Dally M. But yeah, I think as the chief playmaker, I think it's going to take some time for him to adjust.
What do you think about RTS on wing and Kronstadt is back?
I think that RTS on the wing is a good move for him. I think him having less ball in hand means when he does get the ball, he has more strike.
Yeah.
More strike. He played on the wing when he was at the Roosters, and he played probably his second best season of football outside when he won the Dally M.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that the Wars do have something good there. I just think it might take a bit of time with how much youth and new players they've got in. Obviously, JFH is there now, and everyone thought it was going to fit like a glove, which I do agree. But it's a completely different team to Penrith. Like, and I don't think he maybe he was ready for it, but like I don't know. Just in my head, I'm just like taking a Penrith player out of that sort of environment, moving countries, having a rookie half. Like it's going to be difficult for him.
100%.
And your forwards play off the back of your halves, and the halves play off the back of your forwards. So it's a two-way street there.
Yeah.
And then Cronulla against Penrith. Penrith, mate, you could take any player out of that team besides Nathan Cleary, and they'll look as good as they always do.
Yeah.
I thought Cronulla played really well, actually. Yeah. It's just that you're versing Penrith in round 1. They're going to come out firing, all guns blazing. Isaiah Yeo, he was my man of the match that game. He was an absolute beast.
I literally have in my notes that, like, obviously Panthers play how Panthers play, but I was very, very impressed by the Sharks. I feel like the Sharks in recent years have been just like journeymen.
Yeah.
And just like, if a good team can beat the Sharks, that means they're good.
Yeah.
But Sharks played excellent against the Panthers. I was super, super happy with them. I actually have AFB for my MVP.
It went Yo, Cleary, then AFB for me.
Yeah. I think his tackles and post-contact meters, disgusting. Breaking the ruck, disgusting.
He looks slimmer than ever as well.
Yeah, he's looking like a real threat this year.
Such a gun.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we got him.
But Nico needs to polish off his kicks bad. He needs to do 500 kicks this training session.
I think his short kicking game is really good. I think when he's inside the 20, trying to get a repeat set on the line, he does a job.
Yeah.
But man, when you're in your own 40, trying to get some yardage, you good?
Yeah, I was just going to grab some water. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. When he's inside his own 40, trying to get out of yardage, and he's putting these floaters up for Edwards to catch. It's like, bro.
Yeah.
Edwards is probably the best at a kick return in the entire comp. You think he's not going to eat those up? Like, you know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
I think Trindle needs to be the chief playmaker this year, even though he's got the 6 on his back. Regardless of what jersey he's wearing, he just needs to take the reins in terms of at least long kicking game.
100%.
And I think Nico just needs more ball in hand rather than focusing on his kicking game, because I think trying to polish that element of his game is going to take some time, multiple seasons. And I think if Cronulla want any chance of winning a premiership, we have about a 2-year window this year and next year. I think there are 2 years to do something finally and try and push.
Yeah.
If not, it's going to be back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely shift the kicking game to Trindle, 100%. 100%.
And then we enter the official round 1 games. The first game, very entertaining for me. Brisbane versus Roosters. Obviously, it was a bit of a clinic, but I don't like the Roosters that much, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah. Look, I would have loved to see a live cam of Hainsey's lounge room. Watching this one.
Oh, that's a good one. Hainsey's lounge room.
Yeah, look, it was low-key expected. I feel bad for the Roosters. They've lost half their roster. They're in absolute turmoil right now. And Broncos have Ben Hunt. Like, It's a pretty unfair match.
Bro, he looked so good as well.
Yeah.
Even back in the maroon colours, man.
Yeah.
I thought, it could be a bit of a sour end to what was thought as a honeymoon story. Nah, this.
Well, do you know what's disgusting for the Broncos? Is that now they have 3 far above average kickers with Walsh that can do 40-20s out of nowhere,
Yeah.
Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds.
Bro,
Like,
how
how
about-
can you be safe
how
as
about-
another team?
how about more than that? Billy Walters, who's coming off 14, he played his entire juniors as a half, got shifted to hooker. He can put a kick. He can put a kick in. Ezra Mam's got to come back.
Ezra Mam, yeah.
Like, there's 5 people who can kick a ball. Like,
What did you say? I think it was Cooper Cronk said, leave Ezra Mam out for the year. Yeah.
I literally had that in my notes that
Yeah.
he said Mam might have to sit the year out because of how good that this partnership looked in just off game 1.
I'm kind of with him. I think not only is Ezra Mam a flop, sorry, but I think he is. I think he should have the year off, to be honest. But I think if he comes in, it's going to create some weird ground between, like, oh, give him a go this week. I'll give him a go this week. I think just figure out the combos and then just run with it. Just leave Ezra Mam out of it.
Honestly, not a bad shout. I think, obviously, the NRL suspended Mam. It wasn't the Brisbane Broncos. So it should be interesting to see how they treat him when he comes back from that suspension.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, his football might suffer from it. It seriously might be one of the most influential things that happens to the Broncos this year. The fact that Mam sat out, they brought Hunt in, and then they have probably 2 of the best kickers in the comp.
Yeah, that was hats off to Broncos purchasing. That was probably the best buy that they could have made because they've got a pretty star-studded team. They don't really lack in any positions.
Yeah.
And with Ezra Mam getting booted, that was the only spot they needed to fill, and they probably chose one of the only S tier
Yeah,
on the market.
I know. He's so
Excellent
so
stuff.
good. And then the Friday night games. I might just gloss over this one. I thought West New Stars struggled at Campbelltown against Newcastle.
Yeah.
We kind of already touched on Newcastle a bit, obviously, with how their side is kind of looking at the moment.
Yeah.
With obviously the Dylan Brown stuff. But West, great side on paper. They didn't look all that great. Obviously, it's going to take some time to gel.
Yeah.
They got the 2 Penrith boys with Taruva and Luai, as well as Terrell May, Jack Bird. They got some good players come in, but obviously it's not a fantasy team, right? You need an entire preseason to gel and blend. They had no Dream Bull or Api Coruscant either, so those guys come back this week. Should be interesting to see how they go against Parramatta.
I think, again, like you said, on paper, excellent team. I think Galvin and Luas showed some good signs. I think it might be, I don't know, 1 or 2 months before we start seeing the fruits of their labour.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think Terrell May, excellent straight off the bat. He played so well.
He was my man of the match, even though they lost.
Yeah, he was my man of the match as well. The Knights, KP show, as usual.
As I said,
But yeah, I think Tigers are showing some good signs. I think they just need to polish up what they've got. And we could... I don't know how they're going to go this year, but...
I had him for the spoon, but I think that might have already been the bad call.
Yeah, bro. Look, I don't know. I'm going to say Tigers 10th this year, but we'll see how we go towards the end of the year.
Yeah. Speaking of influential decisions, much like obviously Mam sitting out, Jamie Humphreys for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, he was good, man.
Yeah,
Obviously,
he tore up.
he made 2 appearances for Manly last year. Bennett quickly picked up the phone and got him at South Sydney. Lewis Dodd out with suspension for round 1. They named Jamie Humphreys at 7. He puts on an absolute masterful performance. Lewis Dodd back for selection round 2. Humphreys keep the 7 jersey.
Yeah.
How insane is that?
I don't know if you saw it, but I didn't get to watch this whole game, but I watched like little snips and what at work.
Yeah.
But before the game started, they'd done this like mini doco for his return. And,
Bennett.
Yeah, no, I was just like, what the hell? Like, yeah, I don't know. I've never seen like a little mini doco for anything, and
he deserves it. He's that great, to be honest. Like,
100%.
man, I think South, despite all the odds, despite all the injuries, despite having the toughest draw on paper this year, I still think they could have a cracking season. Like, seriously, they're just even their depleted side on the weekend without Latrell, without Cam Murray. You still got guys like Jack White and Campbell Graham, Cody Walker, Keon, like Jai Arrow.
Yeah, I'd love to see Jack Whiten put it up a gear this year
Oh yeah,
because I feel like he held off a bit last year. But he is probably one of the scariest players in the NRL.
people say he's the hardest person to tackle that they've ever tried to tackle.
Oh, I reckon that aside, I reckon he's probably the worst person to get tackled by.
Yeah, he's an absolute unit, especially for a man that's not like. I don't think he's actually like imposing. Like when you look at him, you don't think, "Oh my god!" Like you look at a guy like James Fisher Harris or Payne Haas, but then you look at a guy like Jack White, and you're like, "Oh, I'm just running at a back," and then next minute, bang.
But people tackle to complete the tackle and put you on the ground. But Jack White, and he tackles to rip your spine out.
No, it's insane. Yeah,
I don't want to get tackled.
such
by
a
him.
gun.
Yeah.
And then probably the only game that I didn't watch in its entirety on the weekend, Doggies.
Oh, I definitely watched that game.
Yeah, indulge us.
So we actually had work in the second half, so had to watch highlights. But I think I was expecting some maybe more points from the Dogs and maybe less points from the Dragons. I'm not too sure what happened in the second half, but we leaked through, I think, 2 tries.
Yep.
I think. But I mean, it showed some great signs. Dogs showed some great attack, some great defense. Dragons actually surprised me quite a lot. I always knew that Dragons was going to be a dark horse this year with all their purchasing in the off season and whatever. But Dragons did surprise me. I'm still pretty happy that we got it done.
Yeah.
But
I think Dragons will be a hard team to beat this season. I think they're one of those sides that they're gritty. They got big forwards. They've got experienced players around the park with obviously the likes of now Cook, Gutherson, Holmes, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Doggies just haven't skipped a beat. So Tilly Tupanua looked fantastic on debut.
Oh my god, bro.
I think he's giving. Do you know what he's given me this year? He's given me the effect of what Curran was last year for you guys.
Yeah.
How he's that impact guy off the bench, come bring some energy, run some great lines.
Yeah.
And he just looked great. Like that's one of the things that I did see from the game, just how influential he was off the bench, much like he was when he was at the Roosters.
Yeah.
And I think he could be a real source of attack for you guys throughout the season.
I'm pretty happy as well. I mean, it only showed like minor kind of signs, but I feel like towards the end of last year, Connor Tracy started getting a little bit more confident with himself. And he was like a lot more confident with the high balls and a lot more confident with the return meters. And just in this game alone, he had a few kicks where he'd like get up to the 40 or like he just made huge meters on the return and obviously not crazy Ben Barber type stuff, but still it's really good to see Connor Tracy kind of finding his groove.
Yeah.
And
Such a versatile player, Connor Tracy, even when he's at Cronulla.
Yeah.
I was kind of happy we let him go because he is a first team footballer. Like he wasn't going to crack our 13.
Yeah.
And it allowed us enough money to bring in someone like AFB. But yeah, I think he's really found his feet at the Dogs, and I can see him there for a long time.
I kind of feel bad for Taff because I actually do like Taff, and I do think he needs to polish up a little bit more. But he's a pretty good player.
I totally agree.
But it'll be interesting to see him and Tracy battle it out this year because I know that they are pushing for Taff to play fullback and I think play 7. I think he played 7 for New South Wales Cup.
Not entirely sure, to be honest. Best person to ask on that's probably Winston. He'll know.
Yeah.
He'll know.
I know that they're making Taff like some crazy ass utility, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with him this year.
Yeah. And quickly go over the final 2 games because they were both kind of carve-ups. Manly, tear North Queensland a new one.
Yeah.
Man, their attack was just absolutely disgusting. They were beating the clock at one stage for points.
Yeah.
Cowboys, to be fair, in the second half held them off a little bit more, but Manly they just look so good. But I was saying to one of my mates at work, and I was just saying to him, I'm like, look, Manly at Brookvale in round one is always a recipe for them having an absolute blinder. So I don't think it's something to be fooled by. They've got the Wars in New Zealand this week, and obviously I'm expecting Wars to finish lower on the table. Should be interesting to see how the atmosphere differs from somewhere like Brookie and see if that changes anything. But Cowboys, man, their side, I compared their side from 2 or 3 years ago compared to their side in round one. It's like night and day. Their side the other day did not look anywhere near as experienced or had as much star power as it did a couple of years back. Obviously, losing the likes of Val Holmes and Chad Townsend a few years ago still had it. Even obviously they're going to lose Reece Robson next year.
Yeah, I think they need to do some purchasing.
Peter
going
Hiku,
into
Kyle
next year.
Felt, man, there's just a lot of star power that they've lost there, and I think they just need to dip into the market a bit more. I think they're going to be in for a tough year based off that performance. They've dropped Nane and Tamalolo this week, which is a big call. It's like 2 million of your cap on the bench.
Yeah. You know what's weird as well? I remember like maybe in January when all the NRL like social media people, they were doing like their predictions for the ladder.
Yeah.
I remember Cowboys were in everyone's like top 4, top 6.
Nah, I had them outside the 8.
I can't believe it. Like after this week, I've seen a whole bunch of the same influencers saying that they reckon bottom of the table.
Chalk 'em, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how their season pans out. Obviously, it's a bit premature. Round one is a 27 round. It's a 27 round comp, like ages to go. And finally, I honestly think we can pretty much sum this up pretty quickly. Melbourne make light work of Para. How much time does Riles get with results like that before they make executive decisions? I think the fact that Mitchell Moses is injured doesn't help them. And I think their rookie fullback, Ilongo, or Ilongi, whatever his name is, I think he looked promising as well.
Kind of feel bad for Riles, and like I don't know why this is like such a benchmark in NRL, but I feel like a coach gets given like an absolute mess, like the worst thing possible. Horrible culture, horrible like players, horrible blah 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 blah, and then they're like, all right, you have 4 weeks to fix this, or else you're sacked. Like I don't think
Rookie coach,
if Bellamy went to Eels right now, he wouldn't be able to fix them by end of season.
I think the only coach that could do something like that is Bennett.
You reckon?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you reckon he could fix them by end of season?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Bro,
I reckon Eels are in shambles. I don't think anyone can save the Eels right now.
Yeah, I don't know. The Eels do look a bit of a shadow of themselves. To think that they were in the grand final only 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. I have Will Penasini as my MVP, even though they got dumped on. But what I liked about him was that he made, I think it was like 230 meters in the game, and just played his heart out.
I'd Cam Munster for sure.
Getting absolutely dumped on, and he's still turning up. I really like that. But Pat line break speed, wow.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
I have a smoky take that I've told my mum, told a few people, and they often disagree with me, but I think Cam Munster at his best, when he's turning it on, is the best player in the comp. I think he's better than Nathan Cleary when he's at his best. I think Cam Munster, man, oh my God. The ball in his hand, probably the best ball runner for a half in the entire comp. I think his short kicking game is insane. I think just his performances at rep level, he's always held down a jersey, never any consideration about him getting dropped or anything. Like he is that guy. I think obviously Nathan Cleary has a lot more in his favour. I think being on the younger side, he obviously has more room to grow. I think he has a phenomenal forward pack. He has always had everything play into his favour. But Cam Munster, obviously, he's had a lot of stuff happen off the field. He's had a lot of injury concerns, which hasn't helped his case in the past few years. Obviously, didn't get a game of Origin last year at all. It was all Tom Dearden. But I think he is the guy. I think he really is the best player in the NRL.
I think he's an excellent player when he's on, but I feel like there's a lot of factors that go into him being on. Like
You're probably right.
with Cleary, he can just rock up any day, any time, and just turn up.
Yeah.
But with Munster, you often see like he'll play a good game, he'll play a great game, but then you see him turned up, and it's just unreal.
Yeah.
But how often do you see that?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also because he's one of my favourite players to watch. I think he's so entertaining.
Oh, he's a beast. I love him. But yeah, you can definitely tell the difference between him on like a rant, like absolutely cooking.
Yeah.
Between him just being there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We might take a little quick cut and we will be right back. All right, we are back. And we're going to do round 2 predictions, but we're going to quickly fly through it, I think, rather than giving a bit more insight as we did to, obviously, our reactions and thoughts to round 1. Obviously, the first game was last night. Newcastle, they beat the Dolphins quite comprehensively, 26-12. The stats suggested a bit otherwise. Completion rate, possession, run meters, post-contact meters were pretty much identical between the sides. Yeah, not much else to say there, to be honest.
No, yeah, amazing.
First game tonight.
We have Waz and Eagles.
I said this before that I think that Manly will struggle more than they think. Nonetheless, I have Manly.
Yep. I have Eagles, maybe 13 plus. Love the Warriors, few players out, and they're not really in a good routine. So, yeah, I think Eagles 13 plus.
I like that.
I think it'll be a good arm wrestle of the game.
I agree. Then we've got Penrith Roosters. Oh, I think this could be carnage.
Yeah.
I think this
agree.
could be absolute carnage.
I don't know if this is a hot take. I've got Panthers 40 plus.
40! Good God.
Well, I mean, just going off what we saw last week with Storm and Eels, before halftime, I think it was 42-6 or something.
Yeah.
So, look,
Yeah.
if it's a similar blueprint to that game, look, I've got absolute shambles. I think Panthers just dump it.
Yeah.
So, good tune-up game for them. All right, and then we've got Dragons and Rabbits.
I think it'll be close.
Yeah, so do I.
I have Dragons
Yep.
1-12 roughly, let's say.
Literally the same thing.
Yeah.
I've got. It's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a close. Dragons 1-12.
Yep. Then
Sharks, Cowboys.
I think Sharks, but not as comprehensive as people think. I think North Queensland's first game in Queensland this year. Cronulla still could have a bit of jet lag from Vegas, not literal jet lag, but just a bit, rusty. But I still think they get the job done.
Yep. Margin?
I'm going to go 1-12. I'm going to go 1-12, a bit more respectable.
I think Sharks as well. I can't really put a good margin on, but I think Sharks 10 plus.
Okay, fair enough. And then
Broncos, Raiders.
I think this is going to be a close game.
Yeah.
I think Raiders in Canberra defensively are usually pretty good. Obviously, I think might be a bit like of a facade how many points Brisbane put on last week just because of how poor Roosters were defensively.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I have Brisbane.
Yep. Similar to you. I've got Raiders home game. They are showing some talent. On paper, Broncos should rinse them. But I'm going to say it's a close one, and I'm going to say Broncos 1-12.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. And then
Tigers.
Eels Tigers. I think this will be another close game.
Yeah. Well, it's a spoon bowl.
Spoon bowl again. Let's go. Oh, that when that whole thing came around last year. Oh, so good, so
classic.
funny. What are we thinking?
I think this is going to be a big game for the Tigers. I think Tigers need to tear up, and they need to do it to build some confidence and kind of get a roll moving forward. The Eels, regardless of how they play, they don't really have much coming on. So I think it needs to be a Tigers game. Tigers need to tear up. They really need to work, and I'm going to say Tigers 13 plus.
Yeah, I think to get the monkey off the back, I think this is the game that Tigers can do it. I think with all the head noise with Dylan Brown, no Moses, new coach, team still adjusting to things, I think the Tigers do strike this week, and I think they win, but only 1-12.
Okay. And then lastly, we have Dogs and Titans.
Well, funnily enough, we were just talking to my mum about this off camera. I think the Dogs get it done, but it's not as convincing as people would like to think. I have the Titans in my top 8 this year, and I got rinsed by a lot of people for it.
Not Clarky.
Not Clarky. Clarky hasn't said anything, but I'm sure he'd agree with me. But yeah, I'm going to go Doggies 10 plus, but not comprehensively. Like, not going to be like a 20, 30 point blowout.
Okay. Probably the only game we've disagreed on, but I think Dogs run laps. I reckon 20 plus. I think it's our first and only game at Belmore this year. I think they've got a bigger forward pack, but I think we're more nimble, and I think they gas and we just run laps around them.
I think if there's one man in rugby league that wants to see the Dogs do bad, it's Des Hasler. So
Well, we know how last game went.
yeah, so I'm gonna have faith that the Titans put up a bit of a fight.
Well, I mean, you can say that, but I want to see Des Hasler do bad.
Yeah,
he's
that's
on
fair.
Jaden Ockenbaugh for like 8 years.
That's my guy. I love the Ock, the Arky way. Yeah, and that's it for round 2. If you also, every week, I'm putting my score predictions for the NRL on my Instagram. So in case we don't cover it in a podcast, if you ever want to see it, check the Score podcast on YouTube. Go check it out. On Instagram, go check it out. And now we have a few little things to touch on before the end of the segment, or before the end of the podcast, sorry. We're going to run over our Dally M prediction, our Premiership prediction, and then we've got a fun little knockout bracket to finish off the episode.
So just real quick, do you want to do the tip of the week?
Oh, yes, tip of the week. I've gone with a Saturday special for my tip.
Oh, okay.
So, as mentioned before, I have the Dragons, just head-to-head. I have Campbell Graham to score. Then I have Cronulla -4.5 at the line, and AFB to score.
Okay.
And then Brisbane head-to-head, and then Arthur's to score.
That's pretty safe. I like it. I like it. My tip of the week, we're going to go for some carnage this week. If you're looking to put your mortgage on something, do it.
Not financial advice, but we roll.
So I have Jason Saab for 2 against the Warriors.
Ooh.
I have Targo for 2. No, sorry.
Togo, as in Isaac Togo?
Yeah, Isaac Targo for 2. I have Blake Wilson for 2. All doubles. But I think it can be done. I think there's points to be scored in the Manly game. I think there's points to be scored in the Penrith game. And I think there's points to be scored in the Dogs game.
That is a spicy one.
So, we had to do odds.
Go for it.
This is power play to $113 odds.
Ooh. Power play, I think we get a glimpse of what gambling agency that's with.
Obviously, gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly. Yeah, and we're not going to promote gambling or any sort of company related to gambling. Anyway, onwards. Dally M prediction, Premiership prediction, and then we've got a bracket to finish it off. Dally M, let's start.
All right. Mine's not really a rough take, but maybe someone that might be overlooked. I think Harry Grant.
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot.
I was tossing up between Harry Grant or Munster, but
yeah,
I think it's going to be Harry Grant.
Nice. I like it. Definitely not the safe and boring pick like me. I think he's finally gonna do it. A year without suspension, a year without injury. It's Nathan Cleary. He's gonna do it. Front runner, obvious choice. On the premise he stays fit and suspension free. But I have 2 smokies.
Okay.
My 2 smokies. Oh, everyone's gonna think this is bias. AFB. AFB and also Turbo. I think
Turbo.
Yeah, I think
So you're saying he's gonna have a healthy season?
Yeah, I think the good thing with AFB and possibly Turbo is they might not have rep football to interrupt their year. Turbo's not a sure thing for Origin, I think. I think when you got guys like Latrell and Crichton in the mix, those centre spots aren't always up for grabs. Dylan Edwards had a good campaign, so where does Turbo fit? You know, and I think it's genuinely due to their sheer impact that these guys are going to have on their team. Like when you look at all the star-studded players across Manly and Cronulla, I think these two guys stand out. Whereas for Penrith, you got guys like Edwards and Yo who will also collect points instead of Cleary. So they're my two smokies. They're not really smokies. Like they're not like these really underdog players. Like they're both probably the top three in their position in the comp. Like let's be real. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
I think also another one could be Jerome Hughes. Like,
yeah, back to back.
Yeah,
That'd be
because
yeah.
I feel like
You've got Munster, Grant, and Hughes as your
Yeah.
three. I
Well,
like
I mean,
it.
I'm pretty sure you guys can already tell what my minor premier is gonna be.
Yeah. Segueing on, I guess. Premiership winners.
Well, I think minor premiers, major premiers, it's gonna be Storm. I think Storm are gonna tear up this year.
That's a fair call.
I think the only team that could potentially come close, I'm saying not Penrith. I'm gonna say Broncos. I think Broncos with Hunt, that's like the missing piece to their puzzle.
Yeah.
Obviously it's only round one, but after their round one game, the chemistry was already there after 1 week.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Broncos go. Obviously, there's a lot in the mix.
Yeah, for sure.
Injuries, suspensions, whatever. But yeah, I think this year for me, I see Storm Broncos.
For sure. I'd be stupid not to say Penrith. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to say Melbourne as well. I think it's going to be Melbourne.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do this every year. I always go, yeah, I'd be absolutely dumb to not say Penrith, and I'm not going to say Penrith. Yeah, I got Melbourne. I think you can't possibly make it 5. You can't possibly take that many players out of the side and still win a comp. I saw a post the other day of a full starting 13 of Penrith players that have left the club in their dynasty.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Better than an Origin team.
It would win the comp, that team.
Yeah.
It would win the comp. Their halves are Luai and Burton.
Yeah.
Their fullback is like, what, probably like, I don't know, like Charlie Staines, and then you got guys like Taruva, and I could go on, like Kikau and
Yeah.
Coruscant and Fisher Harris.
I think if Penrith do it this year, I think we just need to stop watching rugby league.
Yeah, it's become
I
a
think-
monopoly. Like
Rugby league's like complete. There's now a finish and this is it.
it's like when you're playing Monopoly with your family, and then there's that one person who has like properties on that entire strip, and it's like you gotta go down the street and just get absolutely rinsed every single time. Yeah, it's
If they do it this year, I'm gonna be like super, super impressed, but I won't understand how.
and there's one man we have to blame, and that's Phil Gould. So so yeah, they're just too good. They're genuinely the benchmark. They have been for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But they're not winning the comp. It's going to be Melbourne. But I do like your Broncos smoky take.
Yeah.
Now, to finish off the episode, I put this on my Instagram a couple of weeks back, maybe a month ago. Round of 16 bracket. Kind of a bit of a fun segment where it's like a bit of a knockout between players for a certain category. Whereas today, we have the GOAT NRL fullback. So I've picked 16 fullbacks who I think are some of the best. They're not necessarily the 16 best. They're just 16 of the best that I think you can categorically say. And we've also gone from 1993 when the NRL was inaugurated. I think, was it when? No, it might have been later than that. I might be thinking Premier League. It was when the NRL was inaugurated to now. So we're not going back to whoever the fullback was in that 10-year dynasty where the Dragons won the premiership. Like
We don't talk about that.
we're not going all the way back then. We're going to go from like current era, 2000s onwards roughly.
Yeah.
All right. The first matchup I've kind of put these in like the players have something in common. So the first matchup I have KP versus Jared Hayne.
Oof.
And the thing I have in common is Dally M winning fullbacks, as in like Dally M Player of the Year winning fullbacks.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a tough one, eh?
Obviously, Jared Hayne never won a comp. KP neither.
That's tough.
They've both won one Origin apiece.
and they both carry a team that isn't that great.
Yeah. But I think the choice is pretty clear cut for me.
Jared Hayne.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I have Jared Hayne.
I love KP, but yeah, I think Jared Hayne. What year was it when he carried the Eels all the way to the grand finals?
2009.
Yeah,
And then they lost to a Melbourne Storm side that was $3 million over the salary cap. So,
yeah, but they done really well. That was exceptional, and Jared Hayne done all of that.
yeah.
So
Do you reckon you should bring your mic in a little bit? Oh, yeah. Oh, beautiful. Awesome.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I think Jared Hayne is obvious choice here. I think Kalen Ponga's still got years to go in his career, but Jared Hayne, yeah, he was the best player in the NRL for a lot of years running, probably behind, only in front of him, like guys like Cronk, Slater, Smith. So, yeah. The next one, I think you can obviously tell the resemblance in the matchup I've made here. Greg Inglis, and who do you think I've picked next?
Oh,
Who's his regen?
Latrell.
Yeah, Latrell. Yeah, Greg Inglis versus Latrell.
I think GI
Yeah,
wipe.
it's not even close. Yeah, I've got Greg Inglis. I think Greg Inglis is going to make a big push here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one, like Greg Inglis and Latrell, obviously battle of the South fullbacks. We've got battle of the Manly fullbacks for the next one. We've got Turbo and Brett Stewart.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh my god.
I think in terms of consistency, I'd give it to Brett Stewart, but I think in terms
Yeah.
of peak, bro,
Definitely Turbo.
there's not many guys that come close to Turbo.
Man, that's tough.
Turbo, obviously,
Growing up,
Dally M
all
winner.
I heard was Stewart. 'Cause
Yeah.
Dogs and Manly had like a little bit of a rivalry, and I hated the Stewarts.
Yeah, I didn't like him either. But Brett Stewart, obviously, he was the New South Wales fullback for a number of years. He might have played for Australia as well. I'm not 100%.
Man, that's tough as.
I think it is a tough one. Obviously, Brett Stewart's won 2 comps, I'm pretty sure, with Manly. He won 2007 and 2011. That is, it is.
Consistency, I'm gonna go Stewart, just because.
I think it's an upset, but I'm going to go Stewart too.
Yeah.
I think in terms of peaks, yes, Turbo, yes, obviously. The resume is insane that Turbo has, and obviously the way he plays is not like many NRL players ever have. But no, Stewart, I think
But
just
you
in
can be
terms.
the best player ever, but if you're playing 8 games a season,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then we got another club matchup again. Battle of the Roosters fullbacks. We've got Teddy and Minicello. I think. And
that's another tough one.
I know
bro.
it is. I know, but I've gone
Minicello.
Teddy.
Oh, yo.
Oh no! Oh, bro. I think Teddy. He won the back-to-back premierships with the Roosters. Obviously, Blues skipper.
I feel a little.
The accolades, I think, for Teddy is kind of.
I kind of wasn't watching footy when Teddy was in his prime, so I feel like I'm a little bit biased here. And I don't hate Teddy. I know that he's an excellent player, but I just didn't really see him in his prime. So
Teddy or Minicello?
Teddy.
Teddy, okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think his resume is just kind of nuts.
Okay, let's go Teddy.
All right, we'll go Teddy. You'll budge on that one. I might have to give one back to you later. Another club matchup we've got again, but they're also very respected for their origin team as well. We have Darren Lockyer
Yeah.
and Darius Boyd. I think it's not even close. It's got to be Lockyer. It's Lockyer,
yeah.
right? Obviously, he played a lot of his career at 5'8" as well, but it was originally a fullback, considered one of the best, if not the best, NRL fullbacks ever. It's got to be Lockyer.
Darius who?
Darius Boyd. Bro, he's Mr. Consistent. Come on, man.
No,
Leave-
if you're speaking about Lockyer.
Oh, yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah.
I think you put pretty much like 10 of the 16 players up against Lockyer in this bracket and they'd lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving on. Another Dally M matchup, but I also think that their peaks were very short-lived for these two players. One's a current player, one's a former player. We've got RTS. Ben Barber, well done. That's a good one. You've picked that out, yeah. Ben Barber, RTS, and I think the choice is clear.
Ben Barber.
I think I've got Ben Barber too.
Yeah.
Premiership winner. I think his peak was better than RTS. Obviously, RTS still playing. Ben Barber's not. Ben Barber had a lot of allegations off the field. Let's not talk about that.
Ben Barber is still playing.
but not NRL
He
though.
just played his Curry Cup.
Yeah, he's playing Curry Cup, right? He's playing in Q Cup up in Queensland, right? But Ben Barber obviously played for Australia, played for Queensland, like
Yeah, I
insane
think,
resume.
yeah, I'll probably give it to Ben Barber.
Yeah. Then the next matchup, another Queensland fullback matchup. I feel sorry for one of the blokes in this bracket. We've got Billy Slater, and then we've got Matt Bowen. Bro, Matt Bowen was so good as well, but man, it's not even close. It's not
Yeah,
even. It's not
I
even.
don't think that's a question, really.
Matt Bowen was
Yeah,
so good
Matt
as
Bowen
well.
was good, but yeah, Billy Slater.
Yeah, Billy Slater. And then the final matchup, two current players, the two starting fullbacks for the Origin sides. Have a guess. Who are the two starting fullbacks for
Walsh.
Walsh?
And then who's blue? Who's Teddy?
No. Who started? Who started game 2 and 3 this year?
Oh, Edwards.
Edwards. Yeah, we've got Edwards versus Walsh, and I think this is tougher than people think, but
That is tough.
I've got Edwards.
Yeah, I think Edwards as well. I think Walsh is excellent, but there's so many things that can go wrong for him to play bad. So,
Oh, for sure.
like, someone just yells out something from the grandstand and he takes it to heart, and guess what? He's having a shocker.
Yeah.
Dylan Edwards is a brick wall.
Yeah.
You're not tormenting him.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think Edwards. Not by a long shot, but yes, definitely clear cut.
Yeah.
Okay, for the next round, so for the quarterfinals, we have Jared Hayne versus GI.
I think it's easy.
Yes, so do I. GI. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got Greg Inglis as well. So he progresses to the semi-finals, and then for our second quarterfinal match, we have Brett Stewart versus James Tedesco.
Oh, man.
I think that's easy.
Easy. Let's go.
I've got Teddy.
Yeah.
I've got Teddy. Teddy progresses to the semi-finals, and then
I think Brett Stewart probably had a good team around him. Tedesco, I feel like, carried.
I don't know about that. I think that Bruce's team back in 2018 was kind of a beast.
Oh, actually, yeah, so true.
No, you've got Kiri, Latrell, Hargreaves, Manu, Tupou in his prime.
Was that not Sonny Bill Williams as well?
No. That was before. No, that was that. Sonny Bill Williams was Minicello's last year at the
Oh,
Roosters.
Minicello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I've got for the other quarterfinal match. Actually, no, never mind. I'm not. Never mind. No, I'm not budging. I was reading it wrong. We've got Lockie versus Ben Barber. It's Lockie.
Lockyer.
It's Lockyer. And then Slater versus Edwards.
Has to be Slater.
It's Slater. Now, these ones are going to be hard. These are the ones that are going to be harder. We've got GI versus Darren Lockyer. Oh, tough. But
I actually don't even know.
I've got an answer, and it's
Darren Lockyer.
I've got Lockyer because I think in GI played a lot of his rep football not at fullback. He played off the wing or in the centres. When he was at Melbourne, he played 5'8".
Did he?
Yeah, he won Dally M 5'8" of the year at Melbourne.
What?
Yeah, insane. He won Dally M 5'8" of the year, Dally M fullback of the year, Dally M rep player of the year. Like he's won like a bunch of random
Yeah, very impressive
Yeah.
player.
But I've got Lockyer for sure.
Yeah, I got Lockyer as well.
And then Tedesco versus Slater.
Slater.
Yeah, it's time for Teddy to say goodbye. And then in the final, Lockyer, Slater. So rough.
Two Maroons.
Oh, come on. Nah, I think
I'm gonna go Slater.
I'm gonna go Slater too. I think he's been so influential for the position. I think he's changed how the position's played.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like Slater. I personally love Billy Slater.
I love Billy Slater.
Yeah, I think he's revolutionised how the fullback position's played defensively and going forward.
Yeah, like when you're stopping a winger from scoring a try, you go in with your knees first.
Yeah, that's a cracker. Yeah, absolutely changed the game for that reason, right? Yeah, but no, I have Slater. I think this almost could be a disservice to Lockyer when it comes to this argument, at least. The fact that he didn't play his whole career at fullback, he played a good portion of it on the back end of his career in the halves.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're losing an argument of best fullback of all time and you lose to Billy Slater,
That's pretty respectful,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. But yeah, it was even funny when I put this whole thing together. I was like, I know who's going to win it. Right, at least I know who's going to be in the final. I'm like, I'm like, and if Harry wants to have a crack at it, I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to let him off with it, because that they are the two best.
Yeah. 100%.
Just the dynasties that not only Brisbane created, but the Melbourne Storm created, and the Broncos. Oh, sorry, and the Maroons and the Maroons. But yeah, anything else you wanted to add?
I think Billy Slater made me change sides from Blues to Maroons. So, I mean, that's a pretty big side.
Yeah.
I go for Blues now, but when I was in school, I just loved Billy Slater so much, I went for Maroons just because of that.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I used to...
Well, you know where my heart lies. Still does.
Don't know why.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. And that is where we're going to leave the episode today. Thank you, Harry, for joining us. I'm sure we will have more NRL content with you on the way. And there will be a football podcast out next week. Carabao Cup final is on, I think, tonight or tomorrow night. And we plan to cover all the action there and the Champions League stuff that happened this week. And see ya.
See.